Hello there you guys, welcome to another of my videos. According to Fabrizo, Romano, Manchester United's main focus on new signings is in the summer, not January. Now there's a lot of players on Manchester United's agenda. Now obviously, you know the news on Boubacar Kamara. Revert back to the other day, he said Manchester United agreed terms on a £10 million deal with Boubacar Kamara, and it said Kamara will be announced in the coming days. And it said Boubacar Kamara is set to become the first signing of the Ralf Rangnick era. Boubacar Kamara is only the age of 22, so he's very young. He's got a lot of development in him. He's predominantly defensive midfielder. And as you all know, Rangnick has identified Manchester United's midfield as a weakness. He currently plays for Marseille, does Kamara. He's been at Marseille all his life. He joined Marseille as a 5-year-old back in 2005. So obviously he's risen up their academy, broke into Marseille's senior squad in 2016. His current contract at Marseille expires at the end of the season. Ralf Rangnick wants Erling Haaland. Rangnick recently spoke with Erling Haaland's father, Alf-Inge Haaland, over the possibility of his son signing for Manchester United next year. Bild said the other week that Manchester United are currently only the serious bidder for Erling Haaland. Manchester United will have to qualify for the Champions League to get Haaland. Erling Haaland has a £64 million release clause, doesn't become active until the summer. He's got a contract with Borussia Dortmund until 2024. Borussia Dortmund got Erling Haaland from Red Bull Salzburg for £17.1 million. Before, Erling Haaland was at Mulder, before Red Bull Salzburg, and he did play under Solskjaer. Obviously, when Solskjaer was Man United manager, he wanted a reunion with Haaland. And Rangnick knows Haaland, so that's beneficial. Erling Haaland is regarded as one of the best strikers in the world. He is a prolific goal scorer. He's made 53 appearances in the Bundesliga for Dortmund and he's scored 53 goals. Earlier on in the season, Ralf Rangnick said that he wanted Amadou Haidara as his first signing as Manchester United manager. Rangnick, of course, knows Haidara well because Rangnick used to manage RB Leipzig. Not so long ago, Haidara did admit that he's a Manchester United fan and also a Cristiano Ronaldo fan. Amadou Haidara has a £33 million release clause. He's under contract with Leipzig until 2025. The other week, Frankie de Jong was mentioned. I've disregarded Frankie de Jong though because not so long ago Fabrizo Romano provided us with an update. He said Manchester United have not held any talks for Frankie de Jong. And don't forget, Frankie de Jong's father did admit that Man United have a disadvantage in the transfer pursuit. De Jong's at Barcelona. Barcelona got De Jong from Ajax back in 2019 for £65 million. The other week, he said Manchester United had entered the race for Antonio Rudiger from Chelsea. I did mention that Rangnick could be an important factor in Man United's chances of signing Rudiger, because Rangnick knows Rudiger's agent and brother very well, and the other week Rudiger reportedly rejected a contract extension offer at Chelsea. His current contract at Chelsea expires at the end of the season. Quite a few weeks ago, John McGinn was linked to a Man United. Jude Bellingham and Calvin Phillips have recently been mentioned, and reports have recently said that Man United have been interested in Julian Alvarez from River Plate. Rangnick has been given £75 million to spend in January, but earlier on in the season it said Rangnick had been given a £100 million transfer budget. I've already said that Rangnick needs to heavily invest if he is to succeed as Manchester United manager. Rangnick's enjoyed a good start to his managerial career at Man United. He remains unbeaten so far. Reflecting on the win against Norwich, it was back-to-back wins in the Premier League for Rangnick. Ralph Rangnick is Manchester United's interim manager on a 6-month contract. Obviously, that takes it until the end of the season. And then it did mention that he will continue in a consultancy role for a further 2 years. But it has said that Rangnick's been warned that he could lose the consultancy role if he can't get Manchester United into the Champions League. But if Rangnick does well as the interim manager, there's a very good chance he'll get the Man United job on a permanent basis. Before Manchester United, Rangnick was the head of sports and development at Lokomotiv Moscow. Earlier on today, Manchester United confirmed the appointment of Ewan Sharp as an assistant coach and an analyst. Ewan Sharp obviously knows Ralph Rangnick well, because he worked with him before, and Ewan Sharp also knows Chris Armas well, because he worked twice with him before. Manchester United got Ewan Sharp from Lokomotiv Moscow. Before, Sharp worked at Toronto, and he also worked at New York Red Bulls. Earlier on in the season, Rangnick recommended Chris Armasin as an assistant coach. He also recommended Sascha Lenzin as a sports psychologist. Obviously, in recent weeks, we saw Kieran McKenna and Michael Carrick leave their roles. Before Manchester United, Rangnick was the head of sports and development at Lokomotiv Moscow. Next year, though, Rangnick is going to focus on the outgoings as well as the incomings. Obviously, you know the news on Anthony Martial. By the way, Anthony Martial has held talks with Ralph Rangnick over his future. Anthony Martial has reached an agreement to join Sevilla. Martial wants to join Sevilla if he leaves Manchester United next month. It will be a loan deal. There's quite a few clubs though that have been in for Martial. Barcelona have been in for him. He said not so long ago that Newcastle want Anthony Martial on loan. You know, he did say that Newcastle are ready to pay a $6 million loan fee to sign Martial. The other week it said Atletico Madrid were planning a swap deal for Martial. It's also said that Juventus want him on loan. Couple of weeks ago now, was it, Anthony Martial's agent confirmed that Anthony Martial wants to leave Manchester United in January. Man United set a £30 million asking price on Martial. Martial is demanding more game time and he's getting nowhere near enough game time at Manchester United. Martial's got an injury at the moment. Martial was pretty good last season, but the best season he enjoyed at Man United was his debut season under Louis van Gaal. Martial's been a Manchester United player for 6.5 years. He's got like 2.5 years left on his current contract. Martial scored 79 goals in 268 games in all competitions, and Man United paid an initial fee of 36 million for Martial from Monaco. I think a few players are going to leave in January. Edison Cavani, do you think he'll leave next month? If he doesn't leave in January, Cavani, he will leave in the summer. Now, it recently said Cavani to Barcelona has cooled. But not so long ago, it said Edison Cavani agreed to join Barcelona on an 18-month contract. Obviously, Barcelona are seeing Cavani as a replacement for Aguero because Aguero retired recently due to heart problems. Juventus want Cavani as well, and Cavani's rejected a move to Boca Juniors. Cavani's got an injury or has been injured. He's expected to be available for the game against Newcastle on the 27th. Cavani actually had an injury earlier on in the season. Cavani initially lost his place in the team with the club re-signing Ronaldo last summer. Man United got Cavani on a free transfer from PSG. And this season's been his second full season at Man United. Juan Mata, I think he could leave next month. Juan Mata's contract at Man United expires next summer because revert back to earlier on in the year, Juan Mata signed a 1-year contract extension. Juan Mata doesn't really get in the team. He's lost that yard of pace, but he's aging up. But despite that, he has had a good career at Man United. You know, Mata's made over 200 appearances in all competitions and he's scored over 50 goals. Juan Mata's been at Man United for 8 years, so he's been a long-serving player. Man United got Juan Mata from Chelsea back in 2014 for 40 million. Do you think Matic could leave next month? We need to sell Matic. I've always had my reservations about Matic, but he has had his good games at United. Matic is not one of our first choice midfielders, but despite that, he still seems to get his opportunities, and Matic is the only predominant centre defensive midfielder that Man United have got. Manchester United got Matic from Chelsea back in 2017 for 40 million. You know the news on Dean Henderson, don't you? Fabrizo Romano said not so long ago that Dean Henderson wants to leave Manchester United in January to get more game time. Henderson doesn't really get in goal because, revert back to last summer, De Gea reclaimed the number one spot back. Henderson has only made 2 appearances this season. Obviously, he was in goal for the games against Young Boys. That was a 1-1 game. And he obviously went in goal for the game against West Ham in the Carabao Cup. And he did well in both of them games, to be fair. Earlier on in the season, he had COVID. At one point last season, Henderson got the number 1 jersey, and he did well in a lot of the games he was in goal for last season, to his credit. And Jones and Baye, they could leave in January. There's going to be quite a few players, though, that are going to leave Man United in the summer. Jesse Lingard, he'll be leaving in the summer. Because it recently said that Lingard will stay at Manchester United in January to fight for his place under Ralph Rangnick. Lingard obviously wanted to leave under Solskjaer. Not so long ago, Man United set a £20 million asking price on Lingard, obviously for him to leave next month. Newcastle were in for Lingard, but they're no longer in for him now, reflecting on Lingard wanting to stay in January. He said earlier on in the season that West Ham wanted to re-sign Lingard. He enjoyed a 4-month loan spell with them at the second half of last season. He made an impact. He mentioned earlier on this season that Lingard wanted to go abroad. Lingard's current contract expires in the summer. Lingard doesn't really get in the team. Donnie Van Der Beek, there's a good chance he'll leave in the summer because Van Der Beek's not allowed to leave in January, as Van Der Beek is valued by Ralph Rangnick. And Pogba, he will leave in the summer because reports have said today that Manchester United expect Paul Pogba to stay in January, despite him nearing the end of his contract. Pogba's current contract at Man United expires next summer. Rangnick did say, didn't he, that he won't try to persuade Paul Pogba to stay at Man United if he wants to go. Pogba's very close to returning now from that muscle injury. Pogba's been out of that muscle injury for a while. He picked it up in France training earlier on in the season. And Dalot, he's another one that could be leaving in the summer because I heard recently that Dalot will be staying at Man United in January. In the summer, Manchester United will get a permanent manager. Now, recently there has been talks of Ruben Amorim possibly becoming Manchester United's next permanent manager. It also mentioned that Leeds were in for him as well. Ruben Amorim has a £25 million release clause. He's the manager of Sporting Lisbon. He's been Sporting Lisbon manager for almost 2 years. He's got a contract with Sporting Lisbon until 2023. He's won a few trophies at Sporting Lisbon. Before Sporting Lisbon, he managed Braga, and before then, he managed Casapia. He's a very young coach, is Amorim. He's only the age of 36. Don't forget, Amorim advised Manchester United to hire Erik ten Hag. Erik ten Hag, he's been persistently linked with a permanent managerial role at Man United. He said not so long ago that Erik ten Hag is the favourite. A couple of weeks ago now, Edwin van der Sar spoke about Manchester United's interest in ten Hag. Revert back a couple of weeks ago, Roberto Mancini was also mentioned. earlier on in the season, Brendan Rodgers was mentioned. I initially disregarded Brendan Rodgers because Brendan Rodgers dismissed links to the Man United job. You know, he did come out earlier on in the season and say, I'm happy to be at Leicester. But at one point, don't forget, he did say that Rodgers was house hunting in Cheshire, and that did fuel speculation up. And Pochettino's been persistently linked with a permanent role at Man United. You know, Man United are looking for their 5th permanent manager since Ferguson. You know, Manchester United have sacked 4 permanent managers since Ferguson. The 4 permanent managers we sacked were obviously David Moyes, Louis van Gaal, Jose Mourinho, and a month ago Manchester United sacked Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. No matter who we've got in though, no one's going to replicate what Ferguson did at the club. You know, Ferguson, greatest manager of all time. You know, Ferguson won 30 odd trophies at Man United, including 13 Premier League titles. So reflecting on that, he brought success to the club, but Ferguson didn't settle in straight away because he didn't win out in his first 4 years at Man United. So it does take some managers time to settle in. Alex Ferguson was at Manchester United for around 26 years, so reflecting on that, he was a very long-serving manager. By the way, the vast majority of Manchester United's squad have returned to training at Carrington after the COVID-19 outbreak. Now, Manchester United's next game is against Newcastle at St James's Park on the 27th of December. That game is expected to go ahead because not so long ago the Premier League had a meeting and Premier League clubs and EFL clubs rejected any more postponements. You know, a lot of games have been postponed recently. Man United have had their last 2 games postponed because of COVID. The last game Manchester United played was Norwich. Manchester United won the game 1-0. Ronaldo scored the winning goal from the penalty spot. If Manchester United do beat Newcastle, it will be 4 wins in a row in the Premier League. I'm expecting Manchester United to beat Newcastle because Newcastle are a very, very poor team. And I can assure Newcastle will get relegated this season. Newcastle recently lost 4-0 to Man City. Newcastle's manager is Eddie Howe. They appointed Eddie Howe in earlier on in the season to replace Steve Bruce. When Eddie Howe got appointed in at Newcastle, Eddie Howe signed a 2.5-year contract. Before Newcastle, Eddie Howe managed Bournemouth. He was at Bournemouth for a long time. And he had a spell with Burnley. Earlier on in the season, Newcastle sacked Steve Bruce. And before Steve Bruce, Newcastle had Rafa Benitez. Obviously, Rafa Benitez resigned at Newcastle because he didn't get enough backing. A lot of Newcastle fans were disappointed when Rafa Benitez resigned. Newcastle were actually consistent when they had Rafa Benitez. Like I said, I do know quite a few of the players that Newcastle have got. They've got some good players in there. They've got inconsistent players as well. Obviously, they've got Callum Wilson, former Bournemouth player. They've got Ryan Fraser. He's also a former Bournemouth player. Newcastle have got Joe Linton. They've got Dwight Gale. They've got Alan Saint-Maximin. Now, he's a good player. He's probably the best player Newcastle have got. He come back from injury not so long ago. Newcastle have also got Isaac Hayden. Isaac Hayden is suspended for this game. So that's bad news from a Newcastle perspective. Newcastle have also got John Joe Shelvey. Shelvey is a former Liverpool and Swansea player. Shelvey recently picked up an injury, so is he out for this game? Newcastle have also got Sean Longstaff. Sean Longstaff's a pretty good midfielder, to be fair. He's the brothers with Matty Longstaff. Matty Longstaff is out on loan with Aberdeen at the moment. Newcastle have also got Jacob Murphy and Elliot Anderson. They've also got Matt Ritchie and Kieran Clark. They've got Paul Dummett. Paul Dummett's out with injury. They've got Jamal Lewis. Newcastle got Jamal Lewis from Norwich. He's out with injury at the moment. They've also got Jeff Henrick. They've got Manquillo. I think he's got illness. They've got Federico Fernandez. He's out with injury at the moment. They've also got Almiron. They've got Joseph Willock. So they are quite a few of the players that Newcastle United have got. The goalkeepers, obviously, they've got Carl Darlow. And they've got another goalkeeper called Dubravka. But there you go. And back in October, Newcastle had that £300 million takeover by the Saudi Arabians. Obviously, Newcastle are planning to invest heavily next year. Before the Saudi Arabians, Newcastle had Mike Ashley. You know, Mike Ashley was Newcastle's owner for around, 13 years or so. Obviously, Mike Ashley got heavily criticised. Manchester United have got a good record against Newcastle. Man United seldom lose them. You know, Man United won the fixture at St James's Park last season 4-1. Man United beat Newcastle at Old Trafford earlier on this season 4-1. That was the game when Ronaldo scored twice on his second debut. But like I say, Varane, he's expected to be available for this game against Newcastle. Varane was recently out with a hamstring injury. Earlier on in the season, Varane had a groin injury and he was out with that groin injury for a few weeks. Edinson Cavani's expected to be available as well. Pogba's still out. Martial's got a minor injury, hasn't he? Lindelof, he's got a chest injury. So there you go. And Matic, he's recently been out with a cold. And Juan Mata has obviously had illness. So there you go. After Newcastle, Man United do play Burnley. That's on the 30th of December. And the first game of 2022 is Wolves. And obviously, you know, the news on Anwan Bissaka recently got banned from driving for 6 months. And he got fined £31,500. So anyway guys, that's everything to update you with. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel if you do consider subscribe as always. And take care, God bless, see you all again very soon.